Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Toya and I'm here to give you my 2 cents on Growing Up Hip Hop Atlanta, Season 4, Episode 2. So the episode starts out with Deb and Brat meeting up. Deb tells Brat how she is glowing, how she just looks happy and beautiful. And this new relationship is bringing out a softer side of her, and she is loving every bit of it. She's been keeping up with her through Instagram because nobody could get Brat to leave the house. Brat is saying, I want no parts of COVID. I'm not coming outside and no one can force me. Worse, now that I'm inside with the love of my life, y'all not gonna take me out this happy, okay? Deb moves on to talking about the luncheon, and she invites Brat to her luncheon, and Brat is still having no parts of it. Brat doesn't want to go to a lunch, a dinner, a meetup, having drinks. It doesn't matter. And, Deb is explaining to Brat how it's going to be outdoors. People are going to be socially distant. She's going to have all the Lysols on deck and temperature checks and everything. And Brat was still like, no. Brat gets to asking Deb, who's invited to this luncheon anyway. And Deb lets her know Diamond is coming, Dre is coming and everything. Brat doesn't care about all of that. Brat just wants to know if Johnny Blaze is still around and if she will be attending. Because Brat doesn't like the way Johnny is as a person. She doesn't like how she treated Deb in the past. How she talked out the side of her neck to everyone. And Brat is just not about the disrespect. Deb tells Brat she's no longer working with Johnny Blaze. And immediately, without even raising my head to look at the TV, I realized that was some bull. I just don't get what is it that makes a Trump supporter lose all common sense. Deb is out here telling Brat not to get COVID tested because they're using the swabs that they stick up your nose to implant chips. Seriously? I feel like even if the government wanted to plant a chip, would that be the smartest way to do it? Everybody eats food. Why not put it in food? I just don't get how... Let's move on. We're talking about the show and not the Trump supporters, yeah? Okay. Bow Wow visits his mom. And I feel like I don't necessarily like Bow Wow's mom, but I also don't have a valid reason not to like Bow Wow's mom, if that makes sense. You know how sometimes you feel kind of off about someone? That's the vibe that Bow Wow's mom have always given me. Don't know why, but that's just how I feel about her. Anyway, he visits her and they're talking about this album again, and she basically is telling him she's not feeling the idea of, bringing up all the girls and talking about them and, giving this fuel. She thinks it's a little messy. And he's saying, well, Mom, I played this for everyone. Everyone loves it. All the girls love it. And his mom basically told him exactly what manager Andy says. You're playing this for people on yachts that you're paying for. You're playing this. Maybe you should play this for some strangers. Maybe you should stop playing this for people that you're basically paying to say they like it. Because if you're giving these people a great ass day, never ending alcohol, God knows how much weed y'all smoke, it's like free party nonstop. Of course, if all it takes for them to say, I'm getting on a yacht today and I'm, partying it up. Yeah, Bow Wow, we like your songs. All right. Him and his mom now starts to go through a bunch of the names of women that he's dated in the past. Angela, which is mom's numero uno. She is the fave. His mom wants him to end up with Angela so hard, and it's never going to happen, Mom. Those two been playing around for years. And quite frankly, I think Angela even thinks that Bow Wow is a kid for her. You know, you had a crush when you were younger, but you grew up now. Angela is like, Bow Wow can't. Anyway, so they go to Angela, Keisha Cole. Forgot about that one for a minute. Keisha, girl, what was you thinking? Tommy. Johnny Blaze, which he's denied, but I think there could be some validity to that story. Black China, which he claimed no one knew. And I'm thinking no one knew, not because you didn't tell them. I think you tried to tell everyone you knew, but because you are a professional capper, remember the jets and the cars? Remember flying private only to be caught in business class? Remember that? So, because you're a professional capper, no one just bought it. Not that Black China was such a prize, but we don't take you seriously. And quite frankly, we can't understand how you get these girls all the time. But hey, not because you're not my type don't mean you're not somebody else's. And Mom, why are you out here helping your son count how many women he slept with? Ew. She also asked what manager Andy thought about this, and he kind of sugarcoats it a little bit, but essentially he tells her what the manager thought. And he also now agrees with manager Andy because he said after he stormed out, he had some time to think about it. And manager Andy is right. So we move on to Deb going to visit Johnny Blaze. The first thing we see is a flashback of all the times Johnny's been out here fighting and throwing tantrums and just being ratchet. And then we move back into the scene with Johnny and Deb. And Deb basically asks Johnny how she's doing. And she's doing great. She says she's doing great mentally. She's doing great physically. She is in a much better place. And she's taking accountability for all her actions and her career. She admits that her actions in the past have been the reason her career has halted, and she understands that it's embarrassing and that's why people don't want to work with her. And you know, I have to say, Johnny, I like the big girl panties on you. However, we've seen this before. We've seen you say you're sorry and you know, you put on this really baby voice and you get so meek and mild and you're, Johnny, let it be true because you are talented, sis. I've heard you sing. I've heard you play the keys. You are very talented and it makes no sense to waste it because you know what? It seems like talent has a shelf life nowadays. Like, even if you have a talent, this minute you're hot, everybody wants to hear everything that you have to say. And then the next minute, look at this one. And then the next minute, you know, no one wants to hear anything you have to say because of your whole personality. And I feel as if you get it together, then we'll start to pay your career some attention. But that's just my 2 cents. You don't have to take it. Because of Johnny's newfound lease in life, Deb stays true to form and she offers her help again and, you know, offers her to work with other people and getting back to the music and all of that. And Deb also gives her the speech, this is your last chance and no more shots. And it's always somebody's last chance, Deb. Ain't nobody listening to that. Deb invites Johnny to her luncheon. And Johnny is a little cautious, a little hesitant, and with good reason. She says, and I quote, she doesn't want these hoes talking to her crazy, okay? And basically take her out of her newfound zen. So I could understand wanting to protect your peace. So now we move on to Shania, that's JD's daughter, going to visit Angela at her photo shoot. Before I even get to what they were talking about at this photo shoot, let me just say this and get this off my chickadee chest. I don't know Angela. She is another person I don't like with no valid reason. But I'm also the type of person that if I don't like you and I don't have a valid reason, I try to not pay you any mind, because who's checking up on people they don't like? Anyway, let me explain. So, I've been watching Angela since Angela got introduced to all of us, right? Since she was on Run's House on MTV. Eventually, she got her own, the spinoff with her sister, and they were doing, you know, things with the, what's the sneakers called? Cookies or, I don't know. Then, you know, she moved on to different things. She grew up a little bit, had her own following. Angela was just out here, and we were here for it. So then she goes into, oh, you know, she's wearing a purity ring and she's gonna stay a virgin forever. Cut to Angela pops up very pregnant. Didn't offer us anything, any explanation. Not that she owed us anything, but the fact that you came on the World Wide Web and the TVs and said, hey guys, never having sex until marriage. You know, it's all me here. I figured you would have came out and said, well, you know, this happened. We all made mistakes. It's just being young, moving right on. You did not address this at all. And if you did, it wasn't satisfying enough for me to know about it. So then you play with us by being on Growing Up Hip Hop Atlanta, both of them. And you go back and forth between Romeo and Bow. And it's just so childish because you don't want any of them. You don't want any of them. Then, from my experience of watching you on Growing Up Hip Hop now, it's like every time you talk to someone, you are so dismissive. You are so like, I'm better than this. I'm better than them. You know, Brianna's coming to the party. I gotta leave. This person is showing up. Let me leave. Oh, I don't have time to even talk to this person. And when you do talk to people, even if you're not like, even if it's not confrontational, even if it's not like on some messiness, you still have like a sour face. And I don't like it. Now back to the show. So, Shania goes to visit her, and Shania is saying, oh, this is so inspirational for me because, you know, I graduated college now, and I want to start a swimsuit line, and the fact that you're here doing a photo shoot in swimwear goals, right? And then she says 2 sentences to Shania, and she's like, okay, I got to get back in, and leaves that girl to wait on her while she's doing her photo shoot. And I was just like, rose eyes, because I expected nothing different from her. That's all I gotta say about that. Now, Bow Wow shows up to Angela's photo shoot, and he sees Shania outside waiting for Angela. And Shania and him talk for a little while, and Bow Wow reveals Ayana's diagnosis to Shania about COVID, or her positive diagnosis for COVID. And Shania explains that she no longer really has a friendship with Ayana because after she graduated, you know, it was a very public and popular celebration. Everyone posted it. Everyone made comments. Everyone congratulated. And crickets from Ayana. And she's saying, you know, if you are any type of friend to me, then this would be a perfect reason to reach out to me and say, hey, boo. But she didn't. And because of that, she got vexed. And they no longer talk. However, finding out, I don't think she's gonna, my 2 cents, I don't think she's gonna hold on to that for much longer now that she found out Ayana has COVID, because she explains her own personal situation with her grandmother on her mother's side having COVID, being hospitalized for a month, you know, having to have assistance to breathe, and she got very emotional, very teary-eyed until the point where Bow Wow had to console her. So after getting that out of her system, she finally asked Bow Wow, hey, what are you doing here? And Bow Wow is somehow convinced himself that if Angela shows up in his city, Atlanta, she has to call him. She has to check in, like how artists go to LA and they have to check in. I don't know with who, because I'm not about this gang but basically, I'm like, Baba, who you really think you are that someone has to check in with you? I'm like, it would be nice if your friend is in the city for them to say, hey, I'm in your city. But if that friend is not there to see you, step off, Bao. Shania is telling him, do not pop up on this girl. She's working. Do not go in there. Bao doesn't listen. He walks in. So now he sees Ange and he's asking her how come she didn't call him. And Angela's like, well, you're tootsie rolling and pussy popping all over the gram with butts in your face in Miami. So he goes, oh, well, you're watching my page? And she's like, your page is public. Everyone can see it. Angie was watching that man's page, though, because a public page does not mean you have to see it. Conversation is clearly going nowhere. We move on to Deb not being able to find Johnny Blaze. So Deb is calling Johnny's phone, and Johnny says something along the lines of she doesn't want to be here anymore, and then she hung up the phone and stopped answering calls after that. So Deb calls Diamond, which was on her way to the luncheon at the time, to say, hey, I can't get a hold of Johnny. She said these things, and then she hung up. I can't get a hold of her. Do you think you could try to reach her? So then Diamond starts calling Johnny. She's not picking up. So then Diamond calls her now ex-boyfriend, Pimpin, which is Bow Wow's non-producing producer. So Pimpin lives in the same building as Johnny Blaze. So that phone call made sense. She asked Pimpin to check on Johnny for her because Johnny's not answering and so forth, so on, right? So Pimpin goes downstairs to check on Johnny. He sees a whole bunch of police officers and he tells this to Diamond. Diamond is now in a panic. She's like, police? Are there ambulances too? What is going on? Oh my God. So come to find out, Deb was the one that called the police to do a welfare check on Johnny. And the police officers and the producers of the show both get there, and we find out that Johnny Blaze was having a really bad anxiety attack. She had mentioned earlier in the episode that she had issues with anxiety and depression, and she was in a good place, man. I don't know what happened that made her trigger, but I guess we'll find out on next week's episode. You know, I kind of slept on anxiety for ever. And recently I haven't been medically diagnosed, but lately I've been going through it. Lately I have been very anxious, and my way of dealing with it is to just stay busy. If I'm at work, if I'm, doing YouTube stuff, if I'm not sitting still, if I'm in the gym, something. If I'm not sitting still, then I don't have to give myself enough time to think. So I don't know if that's the right way to deal with it. I'm no expert, but that's how I deal. Bow Wow meets up with Angela again, and they discuss their friendship, which I'm tired of, to be honest with you, and how they know each other really well, how they each know the real them, because they were known each other for years and they were kids that basically grew up together, and basically they agreed to remain best friends for life. He's still teasing about the song. Angela really wants to hear it. He's still not playing it. Now the thing is, since last season you've been telling Angela about this song. Since last season you have not played this song for her. However, you've been playing it for everybody on yachts, planes, trains, and every automobile. At this point, if I were in Angela's shoes, I wouldn't even want to hear the damn thing. But, hey, tease away, buddy. He claims he's not going to let her listen because it's not mixed and mastered yet. And how would she feel if he wanted to view something of hers that wasn't ready yet? And she, again, references their friendship. We've known each other for a long time. This is not no new situation. So what's wrong with showing me the rough cut? So Diamond gets to Deb's luncheon, and she's the first one to arrive. So they talk about Johnny for a minute, and Diamond says, I don't know what could have brought this on. She was so happy. She sent us group messages and pictures and rose petals and trips and everything. So this is a complete 180. And Deb, this was the only time during the episode I was not looking at you with pure disgust. Deb explains that she had a son that said similar things to what Johnny said about not wanting to be here. And she took it for a joke. And that son ended up ending his life. So if someone around her is hurting and are saying these things, she's never going to take it as a joke again. And I felt you there, Deb. We were here. I felt you in that moment. That must have been tough. Losing your child like that to suicide. I could understand your compassion for Johnny, and usually, before that moment, I would have been on the let Johnny go ruin herself over there by herself train. But I could see that Johnny is really hurting, really going through some things mentally, and Deb, having lost a child, can empathize with her and, be compassionate. And I can't hate on that. It's luncheon time. So Deb and Diamond, because they were the first ones there, they go to sit down first. Let me take a sip. Diamond sits down at the table and she says, I already feel empowered because Deb labeled this event as a woman empowerment luncheon. So Diamond sits down and she's like, all of this is so beautiful. I feel empowered already. You just wait, girl. So soon after, everyone else starts showing up. Lily from SWV, Drea, R. Kelly's ex, and a bunch of other people that I didn't really recognize. Deb explains that Brat is absent because Brat is not messing with the vid. Brat wants no parts of the vid. Period. Johnny won't be attending. She didn't tell everybody that, Johnny was freaking out or anything like that. But Johnny won't be attending and request that everyone keep Ayana in their prayers because of her COVID results. The group organically now starts talking-ish about Trump. Like, he's an asshole, he's a moron. One person said they wanted to... What? They wanted to set him on fire. Child. Deb was sitting back listening to all those people go in on her president. And she says, well, at least he's keeping it real. And it's almost like a record screech. Like, they kind of looked at her, but no one in that group was expecting to even hear those words from anywhere around them. So it almost seemed like, huh? But they kept moving because that was not said. If you understand what I'm saying. Diamond goes, well, are you guys voting? Are you going to vote? And Deb says, yeah, I'm voting for Trump. And they all get to go in on Deb. But we are not going to get to see that until next week's episode. Because that's where this week's episode ended. Guys, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I love you for watching. Bye.